The Monster of Canterlot, Chapter 36. Since the doctors declared me healthy enough for physical activity, we had decided to enjoy a nice brunch out in the gardens. A moderate buffet had been laid out, and plenty of tables, chairs, blankets, and cushions were provided. It was relaxing, quiet, comfortable, and exactly what I needed. The sun was warm and inviting, especially since I couldn't wear a shirt. And it's my new appendages, nothing fit anymore. Worse yet, I still couldn't control them. At random times, my new wings would open, and it took serious concentration to close them again. I didn't mind too much, though. I mean, it's not every day you wake up with the build of a minotaur. Fluttershy, are you alright? You look a little flushed, Luna asked.
Oh, yes, I'm fine. I think it's just the heat.
I had knelt down in front of Fluttershy and held my palm to her forehead. This only seemed to make it worse. Are you sure? You feel really warm. Rarity trotted over and pulled Fluttershy away from me.
Oh, I'm sure the poor dear is just being plagued by the heat, darling. I'll just take her over to the shade. Applejack, do be a dear and bring her some cold water to drink, please.
The three mares walked off to find some shade under one of the larger trees in the garden. I hope she's okay, I said as I stood back up.
I'm sure she's fine, honey, Celestia said with what appeared to be a knowing smile. Besides, her friends will take good care of her, I'm sure. For now, let's get something to eat.
Alright, but after this, I would like to try to find Willow.
Are you sure, Chris? Twilight asked. Would you be alright around all those changelings?
To be honest, I don't know. But Willow risked her life to try to save me. The least I could do is risk some sleepless nights.
Normally, I would praise you for such sentiments, but in this instance, I think you're doing too much for one of those creatures.
Maybe, but I'm sure that some pony along the way told you the same thing about me.
Only once, Celestia half teased. Very well. If you are determined to see this through, then I shall accompany you to see that you are in no danger.
But, Your Highness, your schedule for today? A random guard started before Celestia shot him a look I'm still glad I couldn't see. Has, suddenly cleared up.
Mom, you can't shirk your responsibilities just to protect me from a threat that isn't there. I love you, but Equestria needs you more than I do right now. And when did you become the parent here? Celestia joked. I guess you're right, though. As much as I detest paperwork, I hate it even more when it gets backed up. Guard! A nearby unicorn guard answered the call with a salute. Gather 5 of the best guards on duty today and have them accompany the prince on his errand. The guard was about to hurry off to fulfill the order when Celestia added one more addendum. And any harm that befalls my son shall be returned to you tenfold.
Mom, you're scaring the poor guy. Knock it off.
Not this time. I know I've made light about such things in the past, but I am serious. Deadly serious, she growled.
Understood, Your Highness. It's not often you see a pony in such a hurry that their hooves actually go at 4 different speeds.
Was that truly necessary, sister? Celestia casually sipped at her tea. Yes.
Twilight and Spike had decided to spend the night, but their friends all had to go back to Ponyville. Luna had gone to bed while Celestia went to the throne room. Bunny had gone to my quarters to make sure everything was perfect for me. She had to literally pry cottontail from me. Little Fluffy Butt was starting to act as protective as Celestia. At least it was cute when she did it. Right this way, Your Highness, a guard informed me as we headed down to the dungeon. All the changelings we've captured are being kept here. We walked by several guards at multiple stations, a series of heavy drop gates, and a couple weapons rats that gave me pause. The sight of the spears yet to be removed made me freeze where I was. Your Majesty, are you all right? The senior-most guard asked. He followed my gaze and saw what the problem was. You two! Princess Luna has ordered all spears to be removed from the palace grounds. So why am I looking at some right now? Remove them or all of you can consider yourselves on an extended leave. After the spears were hastily removed, I was able to come to my senses. Thank you, Sergeant. I can't believe I froze up like that. Don't concern yourself, my prince. I have seen many a guard do far worse and lock up after suffering a trauma less severe than what you've suffered. Frankly, I'm surprised you're even able to come this close to the changelings. I don't really have a choice. As a member of the royal family, I can't allow myself to be swayed by fear, or diplomatic thoughts could break down. Now, let's see if I'm really as brave as I pretend to be, or if I'm just blowing hot air. We walked past several cells filled with bunches of changelings locked inside. Chrysalis was secured in the last cell, chained to a wall with a suppression ring on her crooked horn. I looked in through a barred window in the heavy iron door and shivered. If you don't want to enter, there would be no shame, Your Highness, the guard reminded me. There are plenty of ponies who would never dare face the Queen, and none would have the reasons you have. Again, I appreciate that, but I have someone who needs my help, and I owe her at least an attempt. Please, open the door. He bowed and did as I asked. As soon as the door opened, I could hear the chains rattle. The sound sent chills down my spine. However, it was the laughing that made me sweat ice. Oh, do I have a visitor? I haven't had one yet. I stepped inside her dark cell, but didn't say anything. I was trying too hard to keep my knees from shaking. You? You're dead! I ended you myself! Where is Willow? I impressed myself with the fact that I didn't stutter. What? Desert? Willow. Where is she? Why do you care? She was the one who led us to you in the first place. She was also the one who tried to get me out. That ultimately led to us being found and to your new gloves. Chrysalis was still in her half-human form. Celestia had broken her hands so badly that she couldn't change them back into hooves. This also meant she had to wear casts. Seeing her so weakened was making me feel a little braver, too. And because of that, you feel she is a friend? The Queen laughed at the idea. She is merely a minion of mine, born to serve and obey my every whim. If I ordered her to feed herself to a crocodile, she would. If I commanded her to kill you and your friends, and I will when I get out of here, she would do it. Willow, as you know her, is a pawn, just as you and everyone else in this world are merely food. I'm going to wipe her mind, and there will be nothing you can do to stop it. I don't remember what happened next. I only know because the guard told me later. I'm going to go ahead and tell you what he told me. I walked right up to Chrysalis while she laughed at my inability to get what I wanted. My hand shot out and grabbed a hold of her mandible, fangs and all, and dragged her face closer to my own. Now you listen to me, you filthy insect. You're going to tell me what I want to know, or things are going to get very uncomfortable for you. I released her jaw with a rough thrust for good measure. I'm sitting on a stone floor, shackled to a wall with a cast on each arm, and I only get given water at the end of a pole once an hour. Worse, I only get to feed off what little love manages to trickle down through the walls of this dungeon. I'm constantly thirsty and hungry. How much more uncomfortable could you possibly make it for me? I stepped on her leg, just above the hoof, and started to roll my foot around in a circle, grinding the bone against the floor with only a thin layer of skin to cushion it. I then lifted my foot so she'd be able to pay attention to what I had to say. Once more, I took hold of her chin and made her look me in the eye. Each day, I'm going to drag a random changeling into your cell and kill them in front of you. Better yet, I'm going to make sure you look them in the eye when I slit their throat. I'll even make sure they know their death is all because of your pride. Chrysalis's eyes were the size of saucers, and her pupils were pinpricks. Then, after their blood is drained, I'll gut them and skin them. I'll make a pile of their innards over here. I turned her head to look at a corner of the room. Their hollow carcasses will be here, another corner, and then I'll dump their shells over there. After that, I'll line their heads up on a shelf along the wall. How's that for uncomfortable? Tears poured down her face. You're a monster. So the newspapers have said. Now, where is Willow? I know you know where all your buds are, so tell me. This was the moment I came back to my senses. Chrysalis looked into my eyes, and I could see the pleading in them. I didn't know why at the time, but I would take what I could get. What do you plan to do to my youngling if I tell you where to find her? I plan to free her. After all, I know her at least that much. I have no desire to hurt her, if that's what you're worried about." The Queen nodded and let out a deep sigh. "She's in the cell 15 yards in that direction," she indicated with a thrust of her chin. "Now please, just go." I nodded and backed out of the cell. When the door was closed, I thought I could hear crying coming from inside, but I may have been mistaken. My prince?" a guard started to ask. "Yes," I responded as I went off toward the cell Chrysalis indicated, carefully counting my steps. Are you feeling all right?" "I feel fine, though I'm still a little anxious. Why do you ask?" "It's just, you didn't seem like yourself in there. Like, you were another pony entirely. Some pony... scary." "Really? Well, to be honest, I don't remember what I said to get the Queen to give in. Was I really that bad?" "I will tell you what happened later. Right now, we have a changeling to find." We had stopped in front of the door that was what we believed to be the correct one. It was opened, and I stepped inside. There were at least a dozen of them in there. Each one was chained to the wall via a steel collar with an inhibitor ring on their horns. Each one of them seemed to be terrified of me. Whatever I did or said to Chrysalis must have been fed down a link to each of them. None of them dared to look me in the eye, choosing instead to appear as small as possible while keeping an eye on the biggest threat in the room. All, that is, but one. One changeling was watching my every move with a look of hope. I knelt down in front of it to get a better look. Sadly, all changelings looked far too similar in their natural form. Even worse, I couldn't understand the chittering that was their language. "I'm going to give you one chance," I told the changeling. "If you are indeed the one I know as Desert Willow, then you will know where I first met her and what she said she was doing. When I remove the inhibitor, you will change and tell me. If you try anything or you give me the wrong answer, the ring goes back on and you stay chained up with all your buddies. Understood?" I received a single nod in reply. Carefully, I removed the ring from her horn. A green flame spread over the changeling as I was once again face to face with Willow. "You were in the apple orchard, and I told you I was looking for buds, parasites, and fruit bats." I smiled and stood up. "Guard, release this one." "Release? But, Your Highness..." He stopped his protest when I glared at him. "As you command, my prince." A set of keys floated in from another guard outside the cell door and unlocked the collar. Willow looked like she wanted to jump for joy, but restrained herself. "Thank you. I know I don't deserve this opportunity, or any mercy at all, for that matter, but I am very happy to see you're all right. I thought for sure the Queen was going to kill you." "Funny you should say that." We were all in the throne room. My family, Bunny and her family, and Willow. I was the only one who had a smile, albeit a small one. All the others were too busy scowling at Willow. Even little Cottontail looked angry, though I think Willow was more frightened of the large sledgehammer Iron Hammer was wielding. "Alright, enough trying to cook her alive with your eyes. I know no pony here has any reason to like changelings, but Willow is different. If it weren't for her, I might still be stuck in that cave." "If it weren't for her," Twilight spoke up, "you never have been in that cave to begin with." Willow shrunk even more. "Maybe, but she didn't really have a choice in the matter. The Queen isn't very forgiving to any of her brood that goes against her orders." "All the more reason to keep her down in the dungeon with the others," Bunny growled. "None of you are even willing to give her a chance, are you?" I got a lot of responses, all in the negative, but none from Celestia. Instead, Celestia walked forward until she was towering over Willow. "Tell me, why should I show you any favor after you put my son in danger? Why should I not simply treat you in the same way that your mother him?" I... Enough. Willow had no choice and risked her life to get me and Trixie out. You may not like it, but she's not the bad guy. Merely an easy target. Everything that happened was the fault of one being, and she's not her. In fact, she may even be able to give us valuable insight into defending ourselves against the changeling attack in the future. You may not want to accept it, but I've seen her good side firsthand, and I know that Willow can help us come to a new standing with the changelings. Maybe we can even be allies someday. For now, though, I plan to be friends with Willow, and I hope that the rest of you can give her the benefit of a doubt." "Very well," Celestia said after some consideration. "But if any harm befalls my son again, I will hold her personally responsible." Celestia got right in Willow's face. "Do I make myself clear?" "Crystal clear, your Majesty." "Good. Now leave my sight." Willow and I left the throne room to find her a room to stay in. Sadly, Celestia had insisted on placing enough guards around her to fend off a Minotaur invasion. This was going well beyond just a short lease, and I was finding it very unfair. Willow, however, just seemed happy to be allowed to prove herself. I wished I could share her positive outlook, but I could only see negative outcomes at the time. And that was the first clue that something was wrong.